Okay, Google, open Streamlabs.
Opening Streamlabs.
Okay, it's one of those women who like little things, like women who will have twins in 2020, and it has like a whole shitload of names, right?
Yeah.
Well, over here on one row it goes Epstein didn't, and on the other row kill himself.
Let's see. I don't know if it linked to it. Hold on, let me see. Which one? I wonder which one is playing. Alright, let me stop. No, cancel. I don't know which one is doing. Okay, so let me just end this one. Live stream to your channel may broadcast after you end it. Okay, hold on. Let me cancel that for a second. What happens if I close this? Alright, so let me see. I don't know. Hey, check and see which camera you see.
Hold on.
Because if my nope, it's acting up. I was gonna say if my live stream is working like it's supposed to, then um, I might be able to play with the screen a little bit. Let me see. You know what? Let's go with display catcher and see. Let's see if it pops in. Let's see.
I'm assuming it's your phone
You're assuming it's the phone. Why?
because it's at an angle.
Is it a square?
Square?
Is it just a little square and a black screen?
No, it's just me.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Let me see.
Why are you always that
Did it turn?
Yeah, now.
Okay. So, all right. Now let me close this. Wait, no. It says it's. I'm seeing two different things. What the hell? Okay, hold on. Let me open this one up. Let me open this one up. Let's see. I don't know which one's recording. You said it was the. What's up? Hey, what's going on? How's it going? I'm running a little late today. I know I said I was gonna do my videos relatively early, but um, I'm running a little bit late. So I probably end up doing this for about maybe an hour, right? Because dinner's cooking. Um, so welcome to the Jose Show. Nice to meet you. Nice to have you here. What's up? What's up? Oh man. Oh yeah. See, I'm getting two different views. I don't know which one's doing. All right. Oh well. I'm not worried about it. So, how are y'all doing today? The Jose Show. Um. Well, it'd be like I'm trying to think of what to name it. Right. So okay. So obviously my YouTube channel is just my name, right? But for my lives, I'm trying to think of like I don't know, like a little slogan or something that would kind of, or like a pitch or something. So almost like a talk show host. So it'd be like, well, you're live with Jose, and I hope we're having a good day today, and let's see how today plays out. What can we do today? So today we have two people in the live, and they are hitting me up early on. I really do appreciate every moment, and let's really kick this year off right. Now, last year I did hardly any lives. I probably did like maybe one live, two lives, and those were garbage. So we're off to a new start. We're going to play this by ear, and we're going to see where this year takes us. See, I have a goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If I hit that early, that's great. If I don't, oh well, I did the best I could, and we'll try again next year. But until we get to the end of the year, we'll find out. It could go any direction. The only direction it can go is up. So that's the direction I'm headed. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what all we can accomplish this year. Um, I might have to even eventually buy one of those gaming computers or something with a very large processor and that can handle these live streams and stuff like that, and which is cool. Now, if that's what happens, that's what happens. I'm not really too concerned about it. My phone is doing more than good enough, but I would like to have video clips pop up. I would like some backgrounds, maybe my intro or something that just kind of just says welcome, and that's what my pitch should be. Is just welcome to the Jose Show. And it's kind of weird saying welcome to the Jose Show. So and I wonder if that would stick. So I'll be like, hey, welcome to the Jose Show. And today, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff today. We're going to talk about growth. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about society. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about it all because you know what? Nothing is off the table. See, I would like to think of this as a round table, like a round table where we can get together and discuss different things and just see how life is treating each and every one of us and venting, right? We're going to vent some of this stuff that's aggravating us, getting it off our chest, and that's what the key to this show is really because what frustrates you, I wanted to get it off your chest because you can't keep it bottled up inside. I mean, shit. What? I mean, what does that accomplish? Uh, what was it? I think there was a rap song or a rapper or something like that. I think it was that. No, I don't know. I I remember hearing it somewhere. I don't know if it was a singer, a rapper, an actor, an actress, somebody was talking live, or something. Right? That said that. Shit, yeah, you know what? I lost it. I lost it. I know what it is, but I lost it. So, for the most part, we are here to have a good time if we can, or just to chit chat, right? So, um, my chat is available to be used any way that you feel free to use, as long as you follow the guidelines. Y'all all know what it is. Y'all know that there are certain things you can't say, whatever, right? Um, but let's see, right? Because I feel that if you keep the chat available to be used any kind of way, oh man, the conversations we could have, right? The topics that we can discuss. Now, let's see. Our conversations with Joe. A lot of people know me as Joe, right? So, um, let's see. I've worked at a couple places where they call me Joe, and the background behind calling me Joe is because I don't speak Spanish, right? So, saying Joe is not very uncommon, right? Because I get that a lot. I have one person at the new job calling me Joe, and everyone else calls me Jose. So, which is fine. I have no problem with it at all. So let's see what kind of people come in here and talk to me about random stuff because that is what it's all about. Random. You know, we're just gonna keep it 100 with what you want to express yourself as. Now, like I was saying about the chat, is it's free to do whatever you want. You can't attack anybody, though. You can't use certain types of language, certain types of numbers and phrases, because YouTube sees that kind of stuff, and they're going to be like, "Oh no, you can't do that. You can't say that. Whatever." Right? But for the most part, let's see. Hey, Jose, family, I love you. So kind of shit. You know what? I hope my show brings everybody a little bit of joy, right? Kind of gets you kind of laughing and laughing with me, laughing at the stupidity that's going on in society and life, or just um, laughing just because, right? But what I also want to do is get your anger out of you. So if it's on your mind, get it off your mind, man. Get it off your chest. There's nobody going to be judging you uh, for your freedom to express yourself because you keep that stuff bottled up inside. It's just going to tear you up. It's going to make you age faster than you want. And we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to age faster than we want. You want to stay as young as you can, as long as you can. There are some perks to getting older, and there's some perks to staying younger. So it can go either direction. But yeah, so let's see. Um, yeah. All right. So what is on your mind? Oh yeah, you you killed your anger. You know what? I can't kill it, but I will set it free. Yeah, it anger is like a like a cat, right? Because that son of a bitch, it's gonna do whatever it wants. It's gonna pop in whenever it wants. Sometimes you can't control it. It gets destructive. It has a mind of its own. So anger is like that. But there's ways to tame that kind of thought process, right? You can tame your anger. You can, like I said, express it, vent it out to people, just to get it out of the way, right? Like, say for instance, you know how like you go home and you talk to your spouse about your day, right? You're like, oh man, today fucking sucked, man. My coworker, I wanted to strangle the life out of him. I didn't do it because I didn't want to go to jail. Let's see. Anger is like my ex-husband. Get rid of it and move on. Oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if that's I don't know your marriage status, but if there's kids involved, you already know nobody ever really goes away. They just move further down the road. They just move further down the road, and you get to see them in random places or at the worst times. So, well, yeah, yeah. I mean, shit. Um, I don't want to know what it's like to like obviously have an ex wife or something like that, right? Because I'm currently married, and I would only imagine it comes with a lot of drama. Like, right? I mean, I can only imagine every divorce comes with drama. Um, you know, you could always pray that an alien comes, right, and probes the significant other and takes it to another planet. Hangers like dirty socks. You know what? You can clean a pair of socks unless they're white and you've been running around outside. I mean, if it was one of them if it was one of them pairs of socks that just the slightest amount of dirt just ruins them, then yeah, you're gonna have to get rid of them. But some socks you can obviously clean them, get them get them all fixed back up like it never even happened. But so yesterday we had a really good stream yesterday, for the most part, right? We talked about all kinds of stuff. We talked about diets, we talked about various different things, and that's what I like about not having a topic. But you know what? I'm not always a happy person, right? I'm not always a happy person. Sometimes I can get a little teed off very quickly. Like, I mean, the smallest things. Because you know what makes me uh, the angriest is simple stuff. right? So say for instance, I got this headset right here, right? I got this headset. I know how it's supposed to work. Okay, I know I'm gonna get some sound, whatever, right? I'm gonna play whatever I want through it. But then I'll sit there and I plug it in and I get a crackling sound through it. That would piss me off because I'm like, man, this should work. I shouldn't have these issues with it. And that's little stuff like that would piss me off. But the bigger things, I tend to just let it roll off my back. Like things that people would assume that would piss me off. They're like, hey, that should piss you off. But like, I really don't care. Like, I really don't care. But like, where's my charger? Yeah, no, that's gonna piss me off because that should be at a set location because I'm looking for it now, and now I can't find it, and it's making me mad. So I'm a weird person like that. So, but I don't label. I don't have a title for my live streams because I want the conversations to shift one direction or the other, because I find that to be a little more entertaining than pounding away at certain topics, right? Because if you pound away at it, I mean, what are you really accomplishing? Never let people or things upset you. Life is too short to worry about it. Oh, I don't worry about it. But it just is like I said, it's just a short moment, like a short burst, right? Like I drop my pen and it rolls under the bed, or rolls under the TV, or something like that, right? That would make me mad, and it's like a instant. It's like, all right, you're pissed. Okay, you're calm. So, but yeah, no. Um, so I was talking earlier about possibly starting my shows off with, this is a holiday show, right? So I thought about introducing myself and saying, well, welcome to the Jose Show. I'm hoping that everyone is having a great day and let's get this party started. Let's see where today's chat's going to take us today. And I am excited. I am excited for the day and I'm excited for the stream and I'm excited for you. So, what are we doing today? So, we're only 3 days into the new year. Shit is going crazy left and right already. I mean, like, already. People are losing their shit. Stuff is going on in the government. War potentially. As the I'll crash your party. Yeah, no, but there's a lot of stuff going on, right? Like, I mean, a lot already. We're 3 days in. 3 days in, and they're already talking about a potential war. And I honestly, I said this a couple videos ago. I believe that going to war with Iran is going to probably happen, but not because they attacked us, right? Because everyone's thinking that they're going to retaliate against us for what happened with the dude that just got killed yesterday or today or whatever. I forgot what day. I think it was today. But so they're assuming that they're going to attack us somehow. No, what's going to happen is they're going to attack an ally of ours, right? They're not going to do it directly, because they're going to want us to retaliate in a certain way. So what's going to happen is they're going to there's a couple of potentials, right? They're thinking that they're going to possibly attack Israel, right? And you know how we back Israel. Like, we support them. They're a big ally to us. So that right there would be a big blow that would get another war started. Because first of all, Israel has a very large army. They're not a small army. They may be relatively small, like country wise, but military might that they have isn't small. But uh, they think that Iran might attack um, Israel, and if they were to attack Israel, you already know that the United States will get involved. We're in another war because it's like clockwork, right? We get a new war like every couple of years, okay? And look at when I say every couple years, look at the history so far. Like every couple years, we're in a new conflict. Now, what is it? Uh, and look and see how many active wars we're still currently in, right? Because no one's really ended any of these wars. Like they haven't said, "Oh, we won, we accomplished it, we can drop this particular war order or whatever," because they're keeping them in effect because certain acts of war you're allowed to do certain things, right? Tax season, which means everyone is kissing butt to put someone else's kids on their tax returns. My ex tried to pull a fast one last year and failed. You know what? I knew a guy that had like 5 kids, right? And this was at the time when you were only getting credit for two. So he would basically lease off the other three. So he would lease off the other three. And, well, hello. Nice to meet you. I'm glad to see you here again. You know, but my friend, he or the coworker or associate, he had the other kids, and he would lease off the kids to someone else to file their taxes. So, and the other person would get a couple of $1,000, and they would split it 50-50 or whatever, right? And he was doing that until one time he got until he had got audited, right? And so that was funny for the most part because he had to do a lot of explaining on why different people were claiming his kids every year. No, I am good. See, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I was running late. I was going to do this earlier, but I went to the my gym at my apartment with my wife so that we can get a little workout on because trust me, I'm a fatty and I got to lose a little bit of weight. Okay, I'm 220. I'm 5'5". So 5'5", 220. That means I'm obese. I'm a big old beluga whale, right? I'm a beluga whale on land. Okay, I beached myself. so I gotta lose some weight, but because I don't want to become a full diabetic, right? Because that's a scary concept. Because I don't, like I said, being a diabetic is I feel like it's really bad. It's just the worst thing that you can have. But it's so common now. But it's so common because they put sugar in everything, right? Sweeteners and everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It's got sweetener in it. So, it's kind of hard to beat the sugar. Let's see. Short story. My tax guy is asking me questions. I gave him my ID. My ex used someone and her kids to put his taxes and felt. Yeah, see, look, right now is probably the worst time for taxes, right? Because when we had the shutdown, right? When we had the shutdown last year, or at the beginning of this year or whatever, well, they hired a bunch of other people to come in and help the tax offices, so they're catching even more things that they weren't catching before, right? Um, that the last thing you want to do is owe the IRS because they're not gonna play no games. They're coming to get whatever they think is owed to them. When it comes to sugar, I maintain it. That's good though. I mean, that's good that you maintain it because I have a hard time maintaining it because I feel like I should be able to eat and drink whatever I want, right? I feel like regardless of whatever it is, I should be able to drink it, enjoy it. I don't care, right? But that's a very dangerous thought. Well, working got nothing back last year. My tax returns was short last year, and I was mad. You know what? Mine was a little lower than usual, but my kids are getting older. They're in their teen years, so they don't get the same credit as they did before. But I overpay my taxes every year. Okay, so say for instance, they always end up owing me. Switch to what? But what is the? See, I was worried about artificial sugars, right? The reason why I'm worried about artificial sugars is I heard how artificial sugars were first determined, right? Because uh, I think the guy who invented the artificial sugars found it on accident, and it was like a resin from an AC something AC, like he had an AC something, right, and it was some kind of resin that formed, and he tasted it, which is crazy. I mean, why would you go and taste something that you don't know what it is? And that's where they got the sweet and low, right? It's not artificial; it's made just like sugar from different plants. Hmm. Let's see. I understand taxes, but I don't have a husband. You know, I my wife does does our taxes, right? Does on TurboTax, but she's been doing it for years. I just give her the W-2s. She files everything. Everything comes back just fine. We haven't had any issues with that, right? But um, the I was actually surprised at what I did get, right? Because um, I think last year I made like 80,000 last year. So I made like overall, because I had a 401k that had cashed out. No, not last year. Was it last year? Well, last year I had a file right for the year before. So when I filed for the year before, um, I had cashed out one of my 401ks when I transferred jobs, and and then combine that with the money that I made working, I made like an average of like 80. It was like 80 something, and I didn't owe anything. See, that was surprising to me. But at the same time, like I said, I overpay in taxes all the time. Um, let's see, federal tax is good, but state tax screws us over. They were trying to push for state tax here in Texas, right? I actually voted against state tax here on this last election because they're trying to push the idea that it's good for everybody. But right now, the state only charges 6% tax, right? But it's sales tax. So the state has a 6% sales tax, and your cities are allowed to increase the taxes by 2%, right? So say for instance, that's why like if you're in Houston, you may pay if the item is $1, then you would pay $1.08, right? But the actual sales tax is only 6%. So you can go to smaller counties where they're charging, where they're trying to get business, they might charge you less. So they might go, all right, well, you're going to pay 6.5%. You might pay 7%, just to kind of spike sales in that area. But they were trying to do state tax, and they're still trying to do. They were trying to do a yeah. I think the state tax was going to tax your income, right? So I was like, no, I don't want you to tax my income. I rather you tax the money I spend, right? Because say for instance, if I made $1,000 paycheck, right? After I paid my federal tax, after I paid my health insurance, after I paid my 401k. So after I paid everybody their money and I had $1,000 left, if I would allow state tax to go into it, if we would allow state tax to go in effect, that $1,000 might even drop down to 800. It might drop down to 750. And then and then what it is you're essentially giving your state a loan, and they kind of give you a refund at the end of the year, right? So when you file your taxes, you get your you get your state credit, right? Like how much you paid them. But see, that's what I'm saying. If you're making a decent wage or a decent paycheck, I mean, uh, it can screw you a lot. Let's see, my son is looking forward when I file taxes, and I tell him I have a great day at school. Let's see. Yeah, my son is looking forward when I file my taxes. I tell him have a great day at school. You know, let's see. God dang, where do you live? Oh man, I'd wanna move. I don't know where you're at, but I'd want to move. Like wherever you're at, I don't want to be there because I mean to get charged federal tax, state tax, county tax, and an 8% sales tax. Oh hell no. Indiana? I mean they're doing it like that down there, up there. Let's see. California state tax is 13%, ain't it? Because I think you're paying 13% state tax, and then you're still paying the the minimum. I think the minimum wage tax or income tax that the federal government charges is I think for a family I think it's 7%, but for a single person it's like 18%. Let's see, 8% higher. California. You know what? I'm glad I don't stay in California because you got that carbon tax as well. Like you have a lot of taxes in California. I mean, as much money as there is you and your son. So I mean, do you claim him all year round? Like, do you like on your paychecks? Do you claim him like all year round, or do you claim him at the end of the year? I pay 28% of my gross income to taxes. Holy shit! I mean, these people, they're so stingy. They just want everything. They just want every dollar that you can possibly earn. And if you ask your people that's in charge of your state or in charge or whatever, you ask them like, where's the hell is my money going? Because I'm willing to bet that there's areas in Indiana that just look like crap, right? Because every state has them. Like Texas has them. California, I was gonna say California has them, but I would say a lot of California has them. Has a lot of places that look a little shaky, and you have to ask them where the hell is my money going. So I think, to be honest, okay, so this is a weird concept, right? I was thinking, what if they gave you a form, right? And the government has a list of everything that they're spending your money on, and you can put checks on what you want your money spent on, right? Say they say, all right, they break down the percentage of the actual amount that they're taking, right? And they say this percent goes to healthcare, this percent goes to food, this percent goes to homelessness, this percent goes to social security, this percent goes to whatever, right? And they have all these different things, and then they give you a sheet and you check off whatever you want to pay, right? So say for instance, you're like, I'm against food stamps. I'm not checking for food. I don't want any of my tax money going for food. Or you'll say, I don't want my tax money going for food, healthcare, any of that. I do want it in infrastructure and such, right? So I think we should have more options, right? I think we should have something that says, this is how I want my money to be spent, right? Because I mean, you should get what you're paying for, right? If that's what you want to spend your money on, that's what you should get. Like I said, if it's infrastructure, if it's healthcare, if it's food stamps, if it's whatever the case may be, you can say, I want my money focused in this direction. Some programs will probably end because obviously there's going to be some people out there going, well, I don't care about this program. F it, I'm not giving them any money. And then they're going to have to hope that private companies will invest in them, right? Let's see. Lots of bad areas in Indiana, but I love it very well. Wait, we love. Oh, I think you were gonna say live. Yeah, you live in a very wealthy area. That's good though. You know, I'm all for moving for better areas, right? So, say for instance, if I'm living in a certain place and it starts to go south, starts to get crazy, drug dealers all over the place, homeless people all over the place, um, you know, crime is up. I'm moving, right? I'm getting the hell out of there, man, because why don't want to put myself in a dangerous situation. I'm gonna keep moving wherever it looks safe. Let's see. That would be nice, but it wouldn't happen. And if it did, I wouldn't believe that there were. That's where my money was going, anyways. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, you can't really prove it unless they're giving out, say for instance, okay, so say we're on that idea, right? So we're on the idea of the form, whatever. You get to check off whatever you want your money to go to. What if they had to send out like a almost like an audited newsletter type thing, right, to whoever's contributing, and they show how much money's there, how much money has been spent, and so on, right? I mean, that could possibly work as well, right? Transparency and whatnot, because the way that it's set up now, we don't know where our money's going. But I know a lot of it's going overseas. A lot of our money's going overseas. I mean, I think we're funding almost every country out there. We're sending money to almost every country in the world. Let's see, our money goes to welfare, prisons, not helping the homeless, struggling schools and lower class. Yeah. See, the thing, welfare. Okay, welfare is supposed to have been like a short term solution to a problem that you might have been going through, right? So, say for instance, you lose your job, you have no way to feed your family for a little while, right? So they'll say, hey, we'll give you help. You can get food, whatever, some health care in case something happens until you find work, right? And it's supposed to be a 6 month period. Now, I remember reading the rules for food stamps, right? You're only supposed to get it for 6 months, right? And then after the 6 months, you have to constantly keep reapplying. But the thing is that people are reapplying and then getting approved. If anything, that's when you should have if you're going to do 6 month periods, you go, here's 6 months. I'm going to give you X amount of dollars to help you out, and then you're going to have to go the same distance without it on the next term, right? So, say for instance, you use your 6 months, time is up. They're not going to give you another 6 months, right? Prisons are a lot of the prisons are private, right? But they do get a tax break. You get a tax break because they're serving the public, right? They get a tax break because we do need prisons. But the thing is that we're rewarding the prisons for incarcerating people and keeping them in there for long periods of time. The average prisoner costs the government roughly around $6 a day, right? So you get one prisoner with a lifetime sentence, and he's only 23. Just imagine the amount of money that the government will pay for his care over time, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's things that were designed that were supposed to help, right? But all they're doing is just wasting it. Mayor Turner, okay, Mayor Turner is the governor or the mayor of Houston, right? Mayor, I don't know his title, right? I think I don't remember, but it's Turner, right? He just won a re-election. Okay, so it's Mayor Turner. I forgot his fucking name. I know I just said it. But so he just won his election, and then I just heard him on the radio the other day asking the private sector to give $50 million increase over what they're already giving to help with homelessness in Houston. Right? Where the hell is all this money going? Because I'm seeing homeless people by the boatloads, right? I mean, you can go pick up a homeless person like you're out there picking up wildflowers. Okay, it is better. The homelessness here in Houston is better than it is in most places, right? It's not like California, like in San Francisco. It's not like and Baltimore or I don't know. Like there's a lot of places that have homelessness. Let's see. They're getting rid of food stamps and forcing people with health issues to get up and find jobs. Not everyone is healthy to work, and those with mental illness to work. Okay, so My mom, she's not there all the time, right? Her mental capacity is a little off, right? Now, she could still work. She could still move around. She could still do something, right? The thing is that when you get so used to not working, then that becomes the problem. Because say for instance, you stop working, right? Say you stop working for a year, right? You take an entire year off, you stop working, you're not doing anything. You do have money coming in to take care of you, so you're not dying. But then the next year comes around and you want to go back to work. Well, that entire year that you were off just hurt you. And then, I mean, it hurts you a lot. The amount of money that you can request, right? You can't bargain with money anymore because now you seem desperate for work. Because they're going to look at, hey, what have you been doing for the past year? Oh, I haven't been doing anything. Oh, you haven't been doing anything. Well, I was going to pay you $16 an hour, but here, take 11 because I don't think that you need it as much. I mean, you're going to take it if you need the money. So there is some dangers to supporting people. We've almost we've almost gave them not crutches, but we're giving them a wheelchair where they can sit down and just roll around and just act like they can't do anything. Okay, so I heard a story the other day. See, my mom had my mom had got bitten by a mosquito that had syphilitis. Right, it put her in a coma for almost 6 months, and she had 10% chance of survival. This is in the early '90s. Me and my brothers and sisters, we were all super young. Um, and when she came back out, she had to learn how to read, write, all that stuff. But she started having seizures, and the and she anything would set off her seizures, right? But she still got around and started doing things. Well, I heard a story yesterday. Okay, a lady had gotten bit by a mosquito with West Nile and encephalitis. Put her in a coma for 3 months, and she was supposed to die or whatever, right? Because apparently that's the route that you're headed. Now she was supposed to die or whatever, but she made it. But she couldn't move around. She had lost mobility or something like that in a portion of her body. So she started painting, and then she's selling her paint online and doing stuff like that, right? Trying to find ways to still earn a living. Let's see. I see. Yeah, when it comes to work history, they will get you. Yeah, they will. When it comes to work history, every decision you've made, they're looking at it. So, for instance, pay. Right? See, the thing about the pay is it's a competitive market, right? You get what you think you're worth, but you have to convince the employer that you're worth it, right? Now, when you start off at a certain level, it's a little harder to get to where you think you're worth or where you want to be. So, say for instance, there was a time when I was raising two kids on it was I was making $7 an hour, right? So I was making $7 an hour. I had two kids. I have my wife. I have myself. And my job, all I did was sweep. Right? I swept the floor. I was new to this industry that I had just gotten into. Like I had never been in manufacturing before. Everything I've ever done was construction and all kinds of odd jobs, right? But so I was new to the manufacturing side of work. Then I started off as a sweeper, making $7 an hour and pushing a broom, right? So whenever I was there for 2 years, and during that time, I learned how to hydro test. I learned how to weld. I learned how to do shipping and receiving. I learned how to grind. I learned how to do all this other work, right? And hold on, I had some stuff pop up. Okay, so I I learned to do all this other work. When I left the company, you know how much money I was making when I left the company after 2 years? I was making $10 an hour, right? So that was basically a $3 increase over a 2 year period. That was $1.50 a year. right? Which was really good for the most part, but I had to really push for this pay, right? I leave the company, I go to another company, and I go there as a welder, but I didn't have any experience, a lot of experience welding, so they had an opportunity to pay me as less as possible, and I couldn't fight it. Right, I couldn't say, "Oh no, I demand $18 an hour because it's a welding position." They were like, "No, you're still new to this. I'm only gonna pay you what I pay you." Right, but they offered me $13 an hour. Right, so they offered me $13 an hour, which is a $3 increase from the last job. So, but because I was already at around 10 or so, they didn't see a lot of value in me. Right? They didn't see my potential. They didn't know what I'm capable of doing because all they know is that this company felt like my value was only $10 an hour. So um, that I mean that when you go from company to company, they're looking at the pay that the company before you was paying you, right? So for instance, I was making let's see. At the same time, everything goes up from food bills, cost of living. Yeah, because I mean everything is constantly going up. So yeah, your pay is going to have to go up to stay with the mark with the cost of everything, right? With inflation and everything else. So if you if everything else is going up, then obviously the pay would have to go up. But the problem is that companies see that you're making more money and they charge you more, right? Because if you notice, they'll say, "Oh, well, people are making more money, so they're spending more money," or "People are making more money, so we could charge them more money," and and that's what they do, and they keep increasing because they're under the assumption that everyone is still growing. But low paying and low quality jobs are still is just as essential as the high paying high quality jobs, right? Because somebody has to do it. But because there are still a lot of low paying jobs, it kind of pulls back a little bit on inflation, right? It kind of slows it down a little bit because they don't want everyone to go into an instant poverty. They don't want everyone to just all of a sudden just be completely broke because that would discourage the people from working altogether, right? So, I mean, that's I was telling my brother-in-law, right? Because he was making less money, and he was upset because somebody else was making more money than him, right? And I told him, I said, well, some companies pay less than other companies, even though they're both doing the exact same work, because that's what they do, right? And I was like, well, if I was like, this company here pays everyone $9 an hour. He can hire 100 people at $9 an hour and still sustain himself. I was like, that means that he has 100 people making a living, right? Making a paycheck, whatever the case may be. I was like, but then you have this other company who's doing the exact same work, but this company is paying $15 an hour, and they are only going to have 40 people working. Well, now you have 60 people less not working for that company. And they're both making the same money, right? They're making both equal amount of money. So they're saying this person makes this much money, this person makes the exact same thing. What they decide to pay their people might help the people just as much as paying them more. But I was like, but we have to have goals to keep moving forward, right? If if say for instance, if you right, say you're working and you've been working all this time, you got all these different raises, you've been kicking ass, you've been taking care of business, and all of a sudden you're at $20 an hour. Well, see, I say I say you're kicking poor, homeless, and low income out of California, making it worse by kicking people off welfare food stamps. And now we have a lot of people stealing to feed their families. But look, what? Okay, so a lot of these people are on food stamps and they're already on these government assistance programs, and some of them homeless people are getting paid checks, right, for some type of disability or something. These homeless people have some type of income, but see what that's done so far, right? How has that helped anybody? Because if these people are being fed and these people are being housed and these people are being taken care of health wise and they're not having to pay not one dime because they refuse to work or they can't work because they got something wrong with them or whatever, right? That's still you're crippling them even more. That's not really helping. You're throwing money at a problem hoping that it will change. And see, that's that's a big problem that we have in government, right? Is that they think that throwing money at everything will fix everything. But we pay out $5 billion a month, I think it said. $5 billion a month just in food stamps. Just in food 5 billion, right? Just imagine. Take everyone off of food stamps and you let them keep their money or whatever. What kind of opportunities would that create, right? Take that 5 billion from food stamps and invest it some other way, because it's just some use it until they get off their feet and look for a job. The rest are lazy and don't want to work. Yeah, that is true though. Some people do use it, but there's a fine line between people who are using it to get off their feet and people who are using it just because, and people who are using it because it's free money, right? Because look at it like this: people who have that mentality that they have to work don't want to use handouts from the government. They don't want to use it. But when shit hits the fan, they'll go to their local food stamp office. They'll go to wherever and they'll ask for the money. They'll say, "Hey, I need this money. I just lost my job, or this is going on." They'll request the money. They'll get approved, and then they'll hurry up and get off of it because they don't like the ideal of it, right? They think that it should be very short term. And then there's some people, because I know people that use food stamps on all different kinds of levels, right? And then there's some people. Hold on, give me 1 minute. Yeah, and there's some people that get on the get on food stamps, right, and just keep using it year after year, after year after year, and they'll say, "Well, it's because I don't have enough money for food," right? Let's see. I was on WIC program until my kids got older. I was on food stamps until I got hired for a job. I got off of food stamps because everyone else needed it more than I do. See, but people don't have that same concept. People don't have that same idea. You don't think that I myself would ever need those items? I've used WIC before, right? I've used food stamps before. I've used food stamps the very first time I used food stamps as an adult is I had got laid off in '08, right after President Obama got elected. I got laid off from my company. I was unemployed for a year and a half. Right when I first went down there to apply for food stamps, I was denied, even though I had been laid off. Even though I didn't have a job, I got laid off. And I had no I'm waiting for unemployment, that kind of stuff. Right? They denied me, even though I applied with my wife, with my kids, and we went down there and applied for it. They said no. Then what they did is they come. I had to reschedule. I rescheduled with them. I talked with them. They go, well, we don't allow felons to have food stamps. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a felon. She misread my paperwork. So then she looks over it. She goes, all right, well, I will give you only $250 a month because of your potential to earn, right? He said, because of your potential to earn. I didn't have it yet. I didn't make the money. I wasn't making the money. Is the potential that I could have made the money. That this is what their guidelines would be. And during that time, I kept looking for work, right? Looking for work, looking for work, looking for work. I worked for 2 jobs during that year and a half that I was on unemployment. And I worked for 3 months, got laid off. Had a few months pass, worked for 3 months, got laid off again. Because companies didn't have any backing, right? They didn't feel very strongly in the people. Um, my ex-husband to get food stamps. He's an ex-felon. Well, see, down here, what it was is that felons aren't allowed to get food stamps, right? But I think they were making an adjustment for if you just got out of prison, right? If you just got out of prison, then they will supply you with like a few dollars for food stamps, right? I mean, it's like $30 a month or $40 a month, and then they'll supply you with that, and then help you get into some kind of housing or get you on your feet, right? For people who have been in prison for a long period of time, they will look out for those, but. Felons and stuff like that. No, Texas is very against any felons, right? Like they don't want felon can't have a gun. Felon can apply for certain types of assistance, and I think that they're just now making it to where felons can vote here in Texas, but I believe felons weren't allowed to vote either, right? So if you're a felon, you can't vote. They might have made some adjustments. I don't know. I have to look into that, right? So, um, I mean, there there's a lot of programs, right, that were meant to help us in times where we needed some help, but not to live off of it, right? These programs were not designed for people to live off of it. And that's where people are starting to have the problem. People are starting to have the problem because they're like, man, shit, I'm I'm supporting this person to live he don't have to work a day in his life and I'm taking care of him. I'm working uh, 8, 10, 12, 16-hour days, uh, 5, 6, 7 days a week to bring home a decent check for myself. And this guy or this person is over there doing nothing, relaxing and just chilling, and he is not being held responsible for anything. Yeah, a general relief. I'm pretty sure it's not a lot though, right? I don't think I don't think it would be a lot of support, right? Just because they expect us all to be able to make the best of it. Not every job pays the best. Not every job is the best job to have, but I mean, sometimes that's the apple that you bite into, right? But the best thing about this country is everything's only a matter of time, right? If you put forth the effort, give it enough time, you're going to. I got 2 more minutes. Yeah, yeah. I'm doing my stream for an hour today. So if if that's what I'm saying. If you give it enough time, whatever you're going through, it's going to eventually change, right? Pays going to change, jobs are going to change, whatever the case may be, it will change. But people are becoming more and more dependent on what the government can give it. But see, what the government is giving these people for housing, for food, for Medicaid, for whatever the case may be, right? That's coming out of the pockets of every single person who is paying into their federal taxes, right? They're paying into this. And then people are getting tired of it. They want a relief. They're like, man, cut my taxes down, lower this, lower that, because you have been feeding these people for a lifetime. I know women from my neighborhood who has never worked, has been on food stamps for 20, 25 years, 30 years, still on food stamps, still giving government assistance. And then you have to ask yourself, when is that supposed to end? When do we draw the line and say, no, we've supported you when you needed it. This is it. No, we can't do this no more. Right? And that is such a big concern, right? Because that's what was making so many people so angry. It's like, hey, look, I didn't mind helping you out, but we got to draw a line somewhere. That's like having a friend come over to your house, eating all your food, using up all your power, right? You go to work. Say you go to work, you're working all day, you have a friend come over to your house, right? They got thrown out of their house. They come to your house, they're living in your house, they're eating all your food, they're running up your power bill, right? Running up your water bill. They're trashing your house, right? They're leaving trash all over your house. You say you have the best house and you always keep it clean, but they're trashing the house and they're doing all these things to your home, right? And then you're like, okay, no, that's enough. I tried to help you out. I tried to give you a place to live. I tried to feed you. I tried to make sure that you had a clean place to go to. I tried to look out for you, and you just didn't care at all about me to do me a favor and help yourself, right? Because supplying them with all those things doesn't make it better. I don't think locking them all up is the solution, but I also don't think that leaving them all out and about is a good thing either. So we are stuck in a place in the middle where we want them off the streets. We want them off the street. We want them taken care of. We want them to get on with their lives and make their lives better. But then at the same time, we're like, we've had enough. We don't care. Just do something with them. Lock them up. Do something. We can't keep doing this. Would it be cheaper to put everyone, all the homeless, in a detention center, paying $6 a person a day for the prisons to keep each one of them for a lifetime, or would it be cheaper to pay for their housing, to pay for their food, to pay for these homeless programs and all these advocacy, I can't say it, advocacy. Man, I'm not gonna try it. That was the third time I tried that word. I messed it all up. But if all this money is going out to these people, and you tell me $6 a day, all this. If people aren't going to try to move forward on their own, eventually we're gonna have to draw a line, right? And this is what's driving some of the frustrations with these programs, because we don't get to see what they're spending. They're spending it carelessly, and these things, homelessness, food, people not being able to pay for their foods. You have to remember, all these government officials or government people are getting a paycheck. They get paid for you to be homeless. They get paid for you to need food. They get paid to supply these services to you. So why would they want that to stop? I said the government screwed him out of his taxes. I said, we're in the same boat. Like I said, I've never been screwed out of my taxes because, like I said, I overpay all year round. I don't claim any of my kids all year round. Uh, I have two kids. I have my wife. I have me. And when every paycheck, I clicked on I checked on the little box that says married under single status. So I said that I am married, but tax me as if I am a single man. Take whatever you need. Take whatever you need to run this fucking country best that you can, and do what you got to do. And then at the end of the year, whatever you didn't need, give it back to me. Right? And that's what they do. I file my taxes. I say, hey, I have my 2 kids. I've been contributing to my 401k. I have a health savings account. And they give me my little tax credits and stuff like that. They give me my deductions that I'm supposed to have. And if I'm lucky, I walk away with some money. But I'd rather walk away with a little bit of money than walk away with nothing at all. But so that's what I do. I go ahead and I let them tax the shit out of me. They're taxing me at like 18% when I'm not supposed to be taxed more than 7 or 8. I think it's like 7. I think it's 8%. I do save some money because of my 401k, because my 401k is pre-tax. So they take their percentage that I have set up for them, and then I also have um, I think they take insurance out before taxes as well, right? But those things, I pay those things out, but the remaining amount I'm being taxed at a very high amount, right? And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that because I know that money is what is needed in this country to keep it growing and keep it moving, right? To keep it what it is. But at the same time, the way that they're spending our money, the way that they spend our money is as if they don't give two shits about us, right? They're living. People who are supposed to be running this country for us, are running these states for us, are living better than us, right? They're living so much better than us. Because and what are they going to say? Because I'm a politician, I should make this much money. You know, like I said, a lot of these government officials, a lot of these different organizations, it is a business to them now. It is a business. It is a multi-billion-dollar business for them to keep these things going. That's why they don't really want to fix it. They want you to feel bad enough for these people that you keep giving more. Because if they told you, hey, we're going to increase your taxes by 6%, and for that 6%, we can take care of 10 homeless people with your 6%. And now we're going to charge everyone the same 6%. And then you start to sit there and you see, you're like, oh, well, I'm helping them out. I'm helping taking care of these homeless people. Well, eventually you start trying to pay your bills and you start trying to do your stuff, and you're going to go, man, no, this isn't working. I want to stop this. But the problem is once you say yes to paying more in taxes, it will never stop. Taxes has never gone backwards, right? They don't say, oh, you know what? The country is doing great right now. We don't need all this tax money this year. Let's see. My child come with me when I file taxes, so that my tax guy can see he is my son, and he's not with anyone else. When I file my taxes with TurboTax, right? I file it with TurboTax. They have a record of all my stuff. I've never been audited because of that. I have my kids on there. As long as everything matches and everything's right, I haven't had any issues. I've only filed my taxes 2 times through a broker, right? I went to Jackson Hewitt, right? So I went to Jackson Hewitt the very first 2 times I've ever filed my own taxes. So I went down to Jackson Hewitt, filed it, right? One year I had got a fucking crazy ass amount back, right? For having 4 kids. I had 4 kids I was taking care of. I was only making roughly around $20,000 a year, supporting 4 kids, supporting myself and my wife, and they gave me a crazy amount back when I filed my taxes. Well, Jackson Hewitt, they take a percentage, not a set amount, right? There's not like, oh, hey, it's $200, that's it. No, they took a percentage. So they took a big chunk. And then this is right before Walmart started cashing income tax checks. So I didn't have anywhere else to cash it, so I had to cash it with Jackson Hewitt. And they took another percentage. And I mean, it cost me roughly around, I think it was almost $2,000 to file my taxes and cash it. And I was like, nope, no, nope, never again. I would never do that again. We did it with TurboTax the very next year, and we've been doing it ever since then. And we've been doing our own taxes since, let's see, 2007. So since 2007, me and my wife has been doing our own taxes, and it's so much better. And TurboTax has it where you can pay to have certain audit protections and stuff like that. I pay it. It's like I don't know, $60. I don't know. It was something super small. And since I don't pay it outright, I tell them to take it from the whatever their money they're going to send me. Makes it so much easier. My coworker filed online, and that's how he found out he got nothing last year. Oh yeah. I mean, is he a single person? See, single people don't tend to get money back, right? Single, if you're single and you're paying taxes, I would opt to pay double. I would, or not double, but I would opt to pay a little extra, right? What you do is when you go to your tax form, on the other side it says additional amounts. Put $20. Put a $20 additional amount for every paycheck because that's going to help protect you over the year's time, right? Because the thing about federal tax is that if you work over a certain amount of hours, they have to stop taxing you. I'm almost done. They have to stop taxing you after a certain amount of hours worked. So what happens is they tax that small amount here, right? That X amount of hours that they're allowed to work, where they charge you taxes at whatever rate, and then any additional hours here did not get taxed. So when then you file at the end of the year, every time that you were in this area, you owe them for that much money because it's still income earned. Um, yes, he's single and his brother, but they have two jobs and figured that they could get more money back. No, the more money you make, the more money you have to pay them. That's just the way it works, right? The more money you earn, the more taxes you have to pay for. Um, but say for instance, um, if you make less than $15,000, they almost give you the entire amount back, right? So if you have an earning of like $10,000 a year, $12,000 a year, you only paid maybe $2,000 in taxes. You get that entire thing back at the end of the year because what it is that you're not making enough for them to really hold that much money, so they tend to give you that money back. But once you cross over the $15,000 range, they're going to tax you at your single rate, right? Whatever your rate. If you're single, they're going to tax you at your single rate. I think it was 12%. 12 or 14%, some shit like that, right? They're going to tax you at that. But like I said, it's about hours worked too. It's about certain income. Now, you see, the thing about working two jobs is that one job he's probably getting close to 40 hours a week, right? He's paying his regular amount. The other job is probably a part-time job, and he's not working as many hours at that particular job. The thing is that when you work below a certain amount of hours, they also tax you less because they don't know you're working two jobs. Let's see. Oh, really? I had no idea. I work straight and not asking for. Okay. Um, Time off, right? A lot of people won't take time off because not because they don't like just sitting around the house, but really what it is time off is not hours earned, is not worked hours. Now, worked hours is what they base their taxes on. Unworked hours, like they're paying you a paycheck and you didn't work those hours, they tax that money higher right then and there. So say for instance, you work 40 hours, your check is $500 after taxes, right? Then the very next week, you don't work those 40 hours. You took the whole week off. You got a check for that week. It would be roughly around $460 or maybe $20 or $30 less. The reason why is because it's not worked hours. Like they look at it like that. They look at it like if you had got free money. So a lot of people won't take their time off because they don't want to be taxed more. Same thing with overtime. A lot of people that I know don't want to work overtime because they know that they're pretty much working to pay the tax man. They offered me sick leave when I was working with the flu. I said no. I would have took off. I would have took off. I've never had the flu except for once. I was working 3 jobs, right? I worked 3 jobs for over 6 months. Okay, I was never even home, right? So I worked 3 jobs for 6 months. Right around January or so, I actually went to the doctor because my knee was swollen and I couldn't move. Um, no, overtime is good short range, right? It's say for instance, I work at the other job I was at. I was working 60 hours a week, right? 60 hours a week, and I would take home $1,200 in a week. No, yeah, yes, $1,200 in a week, right? I was working 50 hours a week and took home uh, roughly around 1,100, or it was like I think it was like a little bit less than 1,100, right? Well, yeah. See, that's what we look at it, right? We can afford to not take the overtime because every dollar counts, right? Because obviously your overtime is time and a half. But if I work, um, okay, so if I make $20 an hour, my total income is $1,600 a month. I mean, $1,600 every 2 weeks, right? So at $20 an hour, $1,600 every 2 weeks, take home after taxes is roughly around $1,000. You lose, I lose, I was losing $600 every 2 weeks. $600 given up. But then I would work 80 hours, right? For those, well, I would get, I was working 40 hours overtime both weeks, yeah. So 80 hours, right? And then 40 of those hours are overtime. I would take home $2,000, even though I made 36, right? Even though I made so much more, they taxed the shit out of it. I mean, they basically raped my overtime. Because you imagine having your entire check. And that's what we're saying is that if people were allowed to keep more of their check, we wouldn't be so concerned about working these extra hours or working, or when we knew that we were working overtime, you knew that you were going to keep more of your money. So if I told you, hey, let's stop funding some program that the government is funding, right? What if we say stop sending money to one of these foreign countries? Right? And then they told you, okay, since we stopped sending this money, we're going to tax you a little less, and that same $1,600 you were going to that you did make, you end up getting to take home like $1,400 of it. That would feel so much better. See, I'm working 2 jobs, and I get burned out. Same goes for my coworkers, who has a lot of people are working multiple jobs, right? I worked like I said, I worked those 3 jobs for 6 months, but I've been working 2 jobs consistently for 3 years. So I've been working two. I worked 2 jobs for 3 years. I just quit the second job last month. I quit the second job last month because I was moving and I didn't want to drive back and forth to that particular place. But for 3 years, I worked two jobs because I wanted to maximize my time, right? I wanted to maximize the amount of money I can make overall, right? If I can make all the money that I need to pay all my bills with one job, the second job should be money that I'm either saving or the money that I get to blow, right? Because the second job has to be worth it. It I would not work a job that is harder than my main job. Like I have a main job that I'm working now, and that is my focus job. That job gets all my attention. It gets if they have hours, I'm working it. If they want me to stay late, I'm staying late. If they want me to come in early, I'm coming in early. Any other job has to work around that job, and it cannot be harder than the job I'm doing because I will not kill myself over the money either. So I can't take the money with me when I'm dead. Because I mean, what's the point? Now I know we try to work these jobs to make the most of whatever we have, right? But we have to also be smart on doing it, right? It can't be harder. It has to work around your highest paying job. Your highest paying job should never come second to a secondary job that's paying you less. Because I remember when I took that job at the auto parts store, I told him I was like, this job is what's important to me. This job here. So if they tell me to jump, I'm fucking jumping. I'm coming. Oh, they say, hey, I need you to work late. I'm gonna be here late. Oh, you wanted me to come in? No, I can't because I'm working late tonight. So it was exhausting because I was working when I first started working those two jobs. I was working. My main job was from 2 in the afternoon to 2 in the morning, and then I would go to the second job from 6 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. So I got 1 hour break between one job and the other job, and then at the end of the night, I had a 4 hour break between the two jobs. So literally, I only had 5 hours where I wasn't working, and an hour or so that is in driving. Right? So that leaves me with 4 hours. So I have 4 hours of my day available. You're talking about exhausting. You're talking about time consuming. You're talking about neglecting a few things. Yeah, some shit gets neglected. But I mean, that's part of your personality, right? You don't bite off more than you can chew. Know what your goals are, and then once you get to your goal, either jump ship on one of them or find a way to make it work where you can do it long term. I I'm only 33. I'm not gonna just like I said. I'm not gonna kill myself. Now I'm not gonna kill myself too early. Okay, I got plenty of stuff that's gonna kill me. I got food. I got all kinds of stuff that can't wait to kill me. But for now, this has been a great conversation for today. Right? I'm hoping that you had fun. I may talk a little shit about certain programs. I do know that some of these programs are important and they are important to have. But if we don't draw a line on where some of these programs have to stop, or we're just gonna have to abandon whatever the movement was or the project was, because sometimes you have to know when you took in a loss and admitting that the program is a loss, scrapping it and starting over with something different, because that's how we get better as a country, is scrapping what's not working and bring something new, and or sometimes just resetting, not necessarily coming out with something new. It can be the same program but reinforced, changed a few rules or adjustments, and start over and see if we can make this work again. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting and expecting a different result, right? California has overworked and holding on the jobs like gold. Look, I seen a documentary that took place over in California, and the guy said he was a student and he had a full time job living in his car. right? So he's got a full-time job, living in his car, and the person asked him and said, "Why are you living in your car?" And he said, "Well, because one, I find it to be a little bit easier, and but two, um, it's cheaper for me overall, and I really don't have a problem with it." You spend like $15 to park your car or $20 to park your car for a few hours and stuff like that, where you can get some sleep. And then after that, I spend most of my time at school or at work, so I don't really need a house or I don't need a place to stay. And they asked him and said, "Well, aren't you worried about you contributing to the homeless population in California?" And he said, "No, not really." He goes, "Sometimes I park in front of sometimes he said I park in front of other people's houses and use their Wi-Fi." And I was like, "Man, that's crazy." See, I may talk a lot of shit about California, but California had a lot of times sets a lot of trends, but also they're an example of what we don't want for this country. Right? We look at California like, no, look at their homelessness problem. Look at their rent. Look at all their taxes. Look at how they keep all these different movements going. Look how they feel like they seem out of touch with what really needs to happen in society. Now, they keep thinking that they're doing us all justice, right? Whatever movement that's coming out of California, they think is doing us all justice, but really, reality, it's just another thing to entrap us in a system that we cannot escape from. Rent is going to get so outrageous. See, rent in California I already know is expensive, but they expect every one of y'all in California to be able to afford it. They think that paying y'all 15 or $18 an hour is going to fix the problem, and they keep raising your wages, but at the same time, what they're doing is they're making you able to pay your rent, and then the very next year rent goes up, and then they're going to put you in a bind. Really, what it is about is putting you in a bind that you cannot escape from, because the fact is, that if you don't keep working, if you don't work hard, if you don't work all these extra jobs, if you don't make all this extra money, then you are out of a home, and so you're pretty much a prisoner. They are making you a prisoner in your own home just to have a home. See, they're not stupid about what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. California is supposed to be one of the richest states in the 50 states of the United States. Has the most money flowing in and out of it, where they have the largest homeless population. How does that work? How do you have all this money in and out? You have all these government assistance there in your state, and you have all this money flowing out of your state, but you can't control your state's income. You can't control your state's spending. You can't control any of that. That's why a lot of states don't want anything to do with California. That's why a lot of people are leaving California and coming down here to Texas. See, I worry about people from California coming down to Texas because some of their views. I don't like all their views, and I feel like when they come down here, they're trying to turn Texas into California. But see, down here in Texas, we don't care for that. We don't want that kind of stuff. But they keep trying to push it more and more here in Texas, and that's what got me into voting, because I don't want that kind of stuff here in Texas. We don't want the way California is down here. If I move out, I'll ask my coworker to be my roommate. I see. I like to be by myself. I mean, like in my own space, right? I can't do living with strangers or people I barely know or people I somewhat know. I need my own space. My rent isn't nowhere close to what y'all pay out there in California. I don't know what the rent is out there, but my rent's probably nowhere close to it. I got a 3 bedroom. 3 bedroom. There's me, my wife, and my 2 kids. They got their own rooms. I work my ass off for what I have. I have just my GED. I have no high school diploma. I do not have any college education. Every dollar that I've earned, I worked my ass off for it. And how I spend it, I make sure that I spend it as wisely, but as freely as I can, because I want to enjoy my money as well. But these little things like this is what keeps Texas great. This is stuff like this is that, like, the fact that I have no education, no experience in that kind of like mindset, right? I don't have that kind of stuff. I don't have a college degrees. I don't have all this college debt because I didn't go to school and stuff like that. But I work from $7 an hour to $22 an hour. And when I see people telling me that they should make what I make, I'm like, no, F you. You didn't work as hard as I worked to get to where I'm at. And if you are working as hard as I'm working, then you will eventually get to where I'm at. That's why I get mad when I see people like, oh, well, we need to make what you're making. No, you didn't do what I had to do to get to where I'm at. See, yeah, I don't feel comfortable. And because I have kids, I can't let strangers around my kids. I won't do it. I won't allow it. I barely let some of my own family members around my kids because I just don't do that. I let some family members live with me, and they moved out within the first year. They don't like my personality. They don't like how I am. They don't like what I think people's roles are when they're living with you and that kind of stuff, right? It doesn't never really lasts very long. But that's why I say, like, you're working hard, right? You're working your two jobs, right? When you go outside your home and you see a bunch of people laying around the house, around the streets, right? And you know that there's money going towards funding these people. And you're working your ass off to support you and your kid, and you're trying to do the best you can, and doesn't that make you angry? Like, doesn't that just, like, man, get off your asses and find something to do? And people want the highest paying jobs. People want that quick money. They want to be at the top as fast as they can, and they're willing to wait to find it. Right? They're waiting. They will try to wait you out. They don't care because they know that there's people like us who will work our asses off. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. Like I said, I'm not trying to talk shit. Like, I mean, like, for the most part, right? I am talking shit, but not like in a way that I'm trying to offend anybody. What I'm just saying is that, you know I know that you say you're working two jobs. You have a kid. You're trying to do the best that you can. You're off the government assistance. You don't need the government assistance, and um you're off these things, and you want a better life for you and your kid. But it's kind of hard for you to have a better life for you and your kid if you're still having to take care of other people. When you're taking care of other people's kids, when you're taking care of Tim, John, Joe, Jeff, Sherry, all these other people who aren't taking care of themselves. So it gets very frustrating. And that's the reason why a lot of this Republican movement and people that are starting to fight against this type of stuff is on a rise because we're so sick and tired of it. I'm not a Republican. Okay, I am an independent. I see things from the left, I see things from the right, but I lean more to the right because I feel people should take some responsibility for their own shit. And if you can't take responsibility for your shit, then somebody else is going to have to come in there and make you take responsibility for your shit or do something with you because you're not helping society if you're not even willing to take responsibility for your own stuff. I know my downfalls, and my downfalls have cost this country something. Right? I've been to jail for stupid shit when I was a teenager. Like I said, I've used the government assistance before. I've used these things, but I've also contributed so much. And because I contribute, I feel like my words should have at least some. say on what we're spending our stuff on, what's going on with our money, what I don't like. We've all shown that we'll speak our mind about something we don't like, right? Oh, I don't like. Some people say I don't like this president. I don't like the Democrats. I don't like the Republicans. I don't like Steve, John, and Jeff in government because they've been there too long. We'll express ourselves on the person, on the individual, but no one is expressing themselves on the money, on the very money that we need to take care of ourselves being sucked out of our pockets by the boatloads. See, do you know that the United States is a voluntary, like you can voluntarily contribute to your taxes, but because of the IRS and the federal and the Fed, you get penalized for not contributing. They said that the United States is the largest and the not well the largest and the longest running place where it is voluntarily you can choose not to pay the government. But now that they have access to your check and they can actually take your funds from you without your permission, because you can't go over there and put on your tax form, do not tax me. You can't say I don't want to. They're going to take it regardless if you want to or not. Take what they want. But it's these type of things is what is driving us crazy, right? Because we want to see more money in our pockets. So, for instance, not to get too far into the presidential stuff because I don't want to scare anybody off, but I'm voting for Donald Trump, and one of the things that the plans for Trump proposed for 2020 is he's going to lower the tax rate for the middle class and lower class, right? So, just imagine whatever you're making you get a smaller tax break. That's a couple more dollars in your pocket. And every couple of dollars is going to add up. And by the end of the year, you will end up with something more than what you had. See, I pay more into my taxes because I figured if I can't survive with an extra $40 coming out of my paycheck every week or extra $50 coming out of my paycheck every week, then I need to change jobs. If this job isn't paying me enough, I'm gonna have to change jobs. I don't like change, but I will change in a heartbeat. See, because I was working with this company, um, and I had 5 years invested into this company. Another company that said he's gonna pay me a few dollars more, right, closer to my home. I'm like, I'm in. You got me. Sign my name. I'm in. I know. You don't have to try to sell me anything. I'm in. Because I know that if I don't keep growing, you can't get too comfortable where you're at. Even with the company that I'm with now, I want to be with this company as long as I can. But if it ever was to stop allowing me to grow, I would have to move on, right? So if you're in a position where you are making less, look for whatever opportunities to move forward. I was working with a guy and he was making $9 an hour with me at the auto parts store, right? We're making the same little amount. I didn't really care because it was a second job, right? I didn't really care too much about what the wage was. I just knew that I needed the extra money. But he was working it as his main job. Now, I sat there. He was telling me, he's like, man, they need to pay me more, man. They need to pay me more. They're not giving me enough hours. They're not giving me enough hours. They need to pay me more. I said, well, have you been looking for other work? He goes, no, I haven't. Well, what are you complaining about? Either do something at this job where they'll pay you more, or you're going to have to chunk deuces. I said, but don't quit. I said, don't quit until you're already signed up and you're ready to work at this other job. So he leaves this $9 paying job to take a plumbing job, working as a contractor, working with these contractors for the city, making $15.50 an hour. Because like I told him, I was like, look for it, find it, use whatever skills you do have, and just try to multiply it. and spend that time, looking for something else, but never walk away empty-handed. If you're going to look for work, you look for work while you're working. You don't want to be looking for work desperate, because a company can sense that shit. They're like sharks, okay? And you being unemployed is like bleeding in the ocean, because they're coming for you. They're going to be ruthless. They're not going to care how much money you need to make. They don't care. All they know is they have a bottom line, they have a certain budget, and they want to stay in that budget. No, I know. I was being told because my dinner time was being served earlier, and I did not go and eat dinner right then and there, so I'm gonna have to go and eat dinner in a minute. But I feel like we're having a really good conversation overall. Like I I understand, like I said, I understand where everybody's coming from, but your growth is up to you. Don't leave it up to the government to control your growth. Because when you get to a point where they say that no, you cannot grow anymore, that's going to be just as upsetting. Because what if? Because now everybody's trying to push this minimum like whatever the wage you're supposed to make, right? Have a have a great night with the beautiful family. I am going to have a great night. I tend to get a little winded, right? Like I will go on, but I will be ending soon because I have to, right? Because I do need to get off. I do have to be up at 3 in the morning. I have to be up at 3 in the morning because I have to be at work at 4 in the morning. Yeah, I'm working tomorrow on Saturday, 4 in the morning. I'm gonna be up, right? I'm gonna be up working. That's what I do, and you know, I don't know. I don't know where you stand on what men's role is in the family. But when men, women, we can finally figure out exactly how we can get things back in together. 4 a.m. comes early for me Monday through Friday. Yeah, I have to get up at 4 Monday through Friday so I can be at work at 5. And then Saturday I have to be up at 3 so I can be at work at 4. We're working 10 hours a day right now. Whenever the work speeds up from this winter break or because it's the end of the year, work will eventually speed up and we'll be like working even more hours. And so I'm gonna get every dollar I can. I mean, that's time and a half. Even if the government takes their big chunk, I'm still getting still a bigger chunk than I had when I wasn't working the overtime. So it has its pluses and its minuses. You see, say I take my son to school in the day and then I work at night. See, yeah, get your hustle on, right? Do what you have to do. The My kids, I'm putting them in homeschool. I'm actually going to put them in homeschool. We're fixing to try that out. I think it's going to be good for them. We want to get away from these public schools and stuff like that. I don't have money for private schools, so I'm not going to try that. But the public schools, and we have to get away from it, right? I mean, I feel like at public schools, they're just brainwashing our children in a way, and they're not teaching them the way that they used to teach kids. Tiresome for me. Oh yeah, yeah, no, I understand. No, yeah, but I understand. It is exhausting, but like I said, I don't know how you feel about the man's role in the family. Because if you had your husband with you, I don't know why y'all separated, but yeah, I know. Yeah, but if you had your husband with you, wouldn't that help out some, right? That extra hand, that extra help. And I'm not saying you can't do it by yourself because some people can handle that kind of pressure of doing things by themselves. But say for instance, I'm taking care of my wife and my kids, and I can handle that pressure. That's what I was built for. That's me, right? And I understand not every man is the same, but you know, I was built to work. You see the way I look. I, I was gonna make a racist joke about the way I look. Oh man, let's see. I'm in the house. Oh yeah, it would help, but my ex-husband left to be with his mistress. Damn, that sucks. Sometimes that's just the way the cards work, right? I mean, shit, that really does suck. I I tell anybody I'm not going nowhere. My wife is going to have to pry me out of the fucking house. It's, it's, oh well, life goes on. Yeah, yeah, life goes on. But all right, but I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. This has been really great. I will I will do another live, not today, or well, not Saturday, probably. I probably won't do another live until Monday. So it's been really great having you here. This conversation has really gone on, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Like I said, I'm not attacking. I do have my opinion. You have yours. We all have an opinion, and if we can't listen to each other's opinions, we'll never move forward. So it is great that you stuck around. You're living in a state that like people from Texas can't stand. So yeah, yeah, no, I understand. So it's been great, and I appreciate you coming by and hanging out with me and keeping this conversation going because I hope that I hope I wasn't being too unfair, but at the same time, I hope you got a little bit of information out of me on the way I think, the way I thought things should be. So